Hi, thank you, Mr. Veer. Thank you, everyone. Uh, are you there, all of you? Or are you there? Because this is a long time we have, 2.5 hours. So before I start, I want to see that everybody is there. Can everybody write hi in the chat box? Because this should not be one way. Can everybody write hi in the chat box? Because we have 36 participants I can see here on my screen. Mr. Singhvi, can you confirm my screen? You're on mute, Mr. Singhvi.
Okay, so screen is visible and you are also audible. Everything is okay, so you can go ahead.
Okay, thank you once again. Welcome all participants, and I've been given a very critical topic, which is talk of the town nowadays across the country, which is a labor code, and which we are expecting to come in near future, right? So before I start with the the conference, I want to give thanks to people manager and Mr. Dharam Rakshit, who is our chairperson for the today the conference. I also extend my thanks to my team, my colleagues Sukpal and Archana, who consolidated this presentation for me, so that we are on a better way of understanding. So this is my small profile. One disclaimer which already been shared by Mr. Singhvi. These are my personal views. And before implementation, please consult your legal team or legal aids. So this session is not from advocate viewpoint; it is from HR practitioner viewpoint. So whatever I learned through my experience and study, I'm sharing here today, right? So we'll not go in major nitty-gritties, but as a HR professional, as a practitioner, what should the all about this labor code and how it's going to impact our system, HR ecosystems, that we're going to discuss. So uh, if you talk about summary of this code, we're majorly focusing on to become a financial capital of the future as a country, and to promote that, we need to have ease of doing business. So that is why government, since beginning August 2019, they start coming up with the new labor codes. And secondly, there is 100 different state and 40 central act and rules,
Just
which
I'm
is
Amit, I'm just interrupting. Mr. Chandrasekhara, please keep yourself mute because it is disturbing. This is going to record and this recording will come to us. So that's why it is for your good sense to getting all that background noise and the clear voice so that you can learn from these learnings too. So thank you so much. Go ahead, Mr. Amit.
So currently in India, there's 100 different state and 40 central act and rules which regulate in terms of employment conditions, labor in different states, different structure, informal nature of employment, and there is a different definition, and some are contradictory to each other also, right? So as you are already aware, labor code is a concurrent subject, means state and center both has to right to make the law in the matter of employment. So as a current state, as per the latest data, there is all six state, including four UTs and West Bengal and Nagaland, and four UTs, Andaman Nicobar, and uh, they are yet to republish their state rules, which are waiting. So currently there is four wage code which has been published by the central government along with the rules. So there's a journey of how it's been introduced in the parliament, then it passed by the parliament, and it also get a president assent. So this still pending the notified official gazette for the applicability. So the center also waiting for the state rules, which is in pipelines. So I will be touching all four codes. As mentioned by Mr. Singhvi, you will touch upon first industrial relation code, then we'll go on the code on wages, then we'll touch upon the code on social security, And the last one is Occupational Safety, Health and Working Condition Code. So at the end, we'll park for the question answer. We'll try to answer all the question, and if it is a little bit technical question from the execution viewpoint, we can park this question later on. Can be answered. So let's start with the industrial relation code. All are there with me? Can you write hi before we start? I can see people are there. Okay. So so the code provide the basic recognition of trade unions, notice period of strikes, lockouts, standing orders, resolution of industrial dispute, and it subsumed the replace three labor laws. It will subsume the Industrial Dispute Act 1947. It also subsumed the Trade Union Act 1926, and the last one is Industrial Employment, which is Standing Order Act 1946. So, what is in Chapter 1? Chapter 1 preliminary. It defined the employee, means any person employed by an industrial establishment to do any skilled, semi-skilled, or unskilled manual jobs, supervisory, managerial, administrative, technical, or clerical work of hire or reward. It's also defined the employer, basically head of department, occupier of the factory, manager of factory. The section is slightly changed. It also define the person who is ultimate control of affairs on the establishment will be considered as occupiers or employer. And contractor, in case of contractor deceased, their legal representative. So what is new thing? It's bring the fixed term employment across the country. So as of now, there is some state like Rajasthan who has this arrangement, but now as a virtue of this industrial relation code, fixed term employment will be across the country applicable, where you can engage the fixed term employment, uh, where there's a certain condition that there has to be equal benefit who are on the permanent worker, that you can engage a fixed term employment. It also defined industry very well now. The definition specifically exclude institution owned or managed by the organizations wholly or substantially engage any charitable, social philanthropy services, sovereign functions, and domestic services. So apart from any industry engaged in these areas or this function, they are the only exempted. So one of my friends just asked retail shops. So now retail store also comes under the Standing Order Act. Although there is certain condition of 300 numbers, I'll touch upon them later on. So industrial establishment or undertaking, if any unit or such establishment undertaking carrying on any activity being on industry is severely from other unit of such establishment. So they also define industrial establishment and any subsidiary or industrial undertaking which is working under the main industry. So major focus here has been given. So there is a lot of ambiguity on certain definition which has been clarified and very well narrated here, so that the ambiguity from the different definition and interpretation can be removed. So it also define wages. I'll not much focus wages here because I'll take this wages definition in the wage code, because in all for the code, the definition of wages remain commonized. So now if you see, Gratuity Act define wage differently, Factory Act define wage differently, Compensation Act define differently, and for ESI it's a different definition. So now they have commonized the definition of wages so that it will avoid any dispute, it will avoid any ambiguity, and it will be better and better understanding for the employee also and for the employer also and for the trade unions also. It specifically defined the now worker, now include the supervisory capacity earning wage of 80,000 rupees, and this amount can be notified by the central government from time to time. Currently, it is not in. So now, even as a supervisor, but his withdrawing salary of 18,000 rupees will also be part of industrial code, which was earlier not there. So this is a change point, right? So earlier, the Industrial Dispute Act does not cover the employee of white collar or supervisory industry, but now they have defined the selling of 18,000 rupees. If anybody withdrawing salary below 18,000 rupees wages will be part of considered as a worker in terms of industrial relation code. It does not include person employed mainly in managerial administrative capacity, apprentice, registered under Apprentice Act 1961 are excluded from the definition of worker. An employee include working journalist, sales promotion, newspaper employee as defined in respective area, does not include semi except apprentice. So here is the main focus area for HR because nowadays there's a lot of focus on various different skill schemes. So this industrial relation code again only exempt apprentice. Nowadays, if you see, there are a lot of skilling scheme which has been floated by Skill Ministry or NSDC or ASDC. So you have to be very careful while drafting their agreement, what kind of arrangement you're doing, what kind of skill you are improving, whether it will attract industrial relation code or not. So that due diligence you have to do before executing such schemes. So it also talk about dispute relating to termination of individual worker. The code define any dispute in relation to discharge, dismissal, retrenchment, or otherwise termination of service of an individual working to be industrial
Just
dispute.
wait. Mr. Vilas and Nicholas, you are unmute. Please mute yourself. So it is a kind request from my side. So please mute yourself, not unmute. Okay, you can't mute yourself. Amitji, you are host, and please mute Mr. Nicholas. Go to participant. Nico. Okay, it is now okay. Thank you so much.
So there's a provision: the worker may apply for tribunal after 45 days from the date he has been made application to conciliation officer of appropriate government. So now the timeline has defined. So once any conciliation officer he has made application for any dispute, after only expiry of 45 days only he can apply to the tribunal also. Now the grievance redress committee, this provision was already there in the Industrial Dispute Act, but now the number has been increased from 6 to 10, which was maximum limit of 6 earlier. Now it is increased to 10. So, and additionally, there is proportionate representation of women also been added. If you are a woman employee working in your organizations, you have to ensure their proportionate representation also in this grievance redressal committee. That is a change point here, so you have to be mindful about it. Strike has now added case of casual leave considered taken by the 50% or more worker in an industry on a given day. So if in your organization, if any more than 50% of worker they avail casual leave in concerted manner, that is also considered as a strike within the ambit of law. This is additional to existing definition. Lockout means a temporary closing of place employment or suspension of work or refusal by any employer to continue to employ any number of persons. So it is not depend on the multiple person, even in it does not define number now. It also address trade union dispute, which was earlier not there. So now in the new definition, so the definition has been added, which provide dispute relating to trade union arising between two or more trade union or between the member of the trade union. This has also been defined in the industrial relation code. So if you have multiple union at your location and you have minor or major unions, and if there is a dispute between both union or member of the union, so this is also defined in the industrial relation code, so that the addressal should be there at redressal mechanism. This is the I think welcoming point which has been bring by this industrial relation code under chapter 3. So it is also defined now sole negotiating union. If you have two union at place as of now, so whichever union has 51% of the member recognized will be the sole negotiating union. So in current law, it is not defined, and it creates a lot of ambiguity and a lot of challenge for the management to whom they start negotiate or dictate terms of employment or long-term settlement. It also provided negotiating council mechanism where in case there is multiple union and none of them has 51%, more than 51% worker. So in that case, the negotiating council will be formed, consist of representative of union. They have at least 20% of worker as a member, and add one representative from each 20%. The ratio is also been defined. So if you have 5, 6 union, If I'll take example of JK in Haridwar, there are 26 union in one plant, right? And they are negotiating as of now all the 26 union during long-term settlement. So such issues has been addressed here. So there has to be ratio been defined whether from each union they can represent uh, one person at each 20% and they can part of negotiation council. Recognition of union by employer shall be on such criteria may be prescribed recognition from 3 to 5 years. If the majority of the negotiation council reach an agreement, it will be considered as a settlement. So, for example, if you have 6 or 7 unions and the majority means more than 51%, right? So, three out of 7, 4 has common agreement and they settle, then it will be considered the matter is settled, right? That is also a lot of relief to given to the employer, uh, not to fall in the hand of trade unions and dictate their terms. No trade union.
Sir, one question is there, sir. Sorry to, sir, when we are
Saket,
going to,
Saket, Saket. In the beginning, I
yes,
have been shared with you rightly. Just put your question
okay,
into the
okay, no
chat
issue,
or
no issue.
write it.
Understood, understood.
Yes.
Okay,
So we are
okay.
keeping the 30 minutes session for question and answer so that we can address that fully. Whatever the question you may have during the session, during the slide is going to run, write them or otherwise you can write in the chat. We will keep that recorded and then at the end we will address that if you miss. So we are here for you. Thank you so much. Please, Amit, going on.
So next is no trade union of the worker shall be registered unless it at least 10% of worker or 100 worker, whichever is less, engaged or employed in the industrial establishment or industry which is connected are the member of such trade union on the date of making of application for the registration. So this is the same as current also. At least 10% of that people should be the member of that union at the time of registration itself. So any appeal against registration and cancellation of registration lies only before tribunal, which it's not lies with the civil court or the registrar. It is the only tribunal which been constituted under the act where you can knock the door. Now coming to standing order. So now the standing order apply to all industrial establishment where the 300 or more worker are employed. Earlier this limit was 100. However, under notification of some state, it has already been changed to 300. Employer is also required to prepare a draft within a 6 month from the commencement of the court. So the moment the court has commenced and your organization falls under the industrial establishment as a defined, so within 6 months you have to make a draft and submit to the authorities. Employer is required to consult with the trade union and negotiating council in respect of the draft standing order and forward it to certifying officer for the certification. So if you are union or a negotiating council, before you forwarding to registration or certifying authority, you have to consult with your trade union, or if you don't have trade union or negotiating council with the majority, if you have works committee or some other alternate arrangement, you have to ensure that their consent should be there. They should be consulted. If member adopt model standing order, he shall forward such intimation to the certifying officer. The same will be deemed as certified. So, if some organization is willing to accept as a model standing order of the states, so they just forward the intimation to certifying, and by default, the moment they intimate, they deem to be certified under model standing order. So, which is currently they have to apply and take their certifications. So that additional burden of getting certification, doing a lot of work with the certifying agency has been given away. So certifying officer on receiving of draft standing order shall issue notice to trade union or negotiating council. So the moment the certifying officer or the authority will receive a draft of the standing order, he has to call the trade union or council, and if there is no trade union representative of that worker chosen as may be prescribed, they have to call. The one relief is there if you're already having standing order which is certified existing organizations in that will be continue as certified under the law. So you don't no need to apply again to get it certified after notification of this relation code. So mechanism also been robust now. So this conciliation officer shall not hold any such proceeding related to dispute after 2 years from the date of such industries. So the limitation has been defined now. So within a 2 year, any conciliation can be held in terms of any dispute arise. After 2 years, there is a limitation been added in this act in the relation courts. Industrial dispute can be voluntarily referred to the arbitration. Yes, this government is a lot of focus on arbitrations, and this law is also focusing on mediation or arbitration, so that the burden on the different legislative bodies or legislative courts can be reduced. So voluntary also any dispute can be referred by the agreement of both parties to the any arbitration also. A conciliation proceeding shall be deemed to have commenced on the date of which the first meeting is held by the conciliation officer in established industrial dispute after receipt of the notice of strike or lockout by the conciliation officer. The moment conciliation proceeding, conciliation officer will call any meeting, first meeting itself, that means the conciliation has started. So it is also clarified because there is many in current situation, whether conciliation started or not started, this is clarified here. The moment first meeting been called, it will be considered as conciliation started. The concerned party can now directly approach tribunal within 90 days in the matter not settled by the conciliation office. So the moment any matter is not settled by conciliation officer, the period is given 90 days. Within 90 days, they can appeal to tribunal and they can raise their dispute to the tribunal. Notice of termination of settlement. The party representing majority of person bound by the settlement shall give notice of termination upon expiry of settlement. So any settlement which is signed and it is expired, so they should give notice of termination of settlement. And until unless if they not give notice of termination, the settlement will keep abiding. Adjudication of dispute of trade union by tribunal. Now no civil court other than the tribunal shall have power to entertain any suit or other proceeding in relation to any dispute referred to the subsection. So this is again clarified. Any dispute in relation to trade union, it has to be handled by tribunal only, not by the civil court. So provision on the strike and lockout. So no person shall go on strike or lockout in industrialist without giving notice of 14 days. So this is very welcoming point for the especially for the employer, where it is mandated by the law without before going any strike or by even by employer also lockout, the both party has to give 14 days notice, and the validity of this notice will stand for 60 days, which is existing 6 week. Currently it is a 6 week. Prior permission of closure. It is for the in terms of ease of doing business. So now up to 300 worker, no permission is required for closure or layoff or retrenchment by the government, which is currently 100. But in some state, by some notification, like in Haryana, it's already been made 300. If employer propose to take his employment any person within 1 year of retrenchment, he shall give opportunity to retrench worker. So it is mandated. If some worker has been retrenched and employer is hiring another person within a year of retrenchment, he has to give the first opportunity to the retrenched employee. Worker reskilling fund. This is also additional point which is not been current legislations. If you are exercising any retrenchment, so you have to give additional reskilling fund to the worker, which is equal to 15 days of wages of last run salary. Every retrenched workman fund, which credit to retrenched worker within 55 days of the timeline also been defined. Within 45 days of retrenchment, this fund should be credited to worker who has been retrenched by the which is over and above retrenchment benefits. Compounding of offense punishable with imprisonment. The Code of Industrial Relation, Social Security state that the offense punishable with imprisonment up to 1 year or with a fine will be compoundable. Any offense which is punishable with a fine or up to 1 year of imprisonment is compoundable, but we have to be mindful that it is only first offense. If it is repeated, it will not be compoundable. So we have finished the macro outline of the Industrial Code. So can I see the thumbs up of everyone so that we can move to next code? Can I see the reaction of the people who is attending, who's listening?
Rightly,
They can
please initiate your input. So that would be a great learning and motivation for the facilitator too. You will get more gain and more knowledge from these learnings. Thank you so much, Archana Sharma, Saiket, Nitya, everyone, Vashak MS. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Please, everyone, carry on, carry on. This is going to have a creative learning for you today, and it will be 3:30 or 3:40 with the Mr. Amit Malik. This is just an initiation and just an start, so you have to move on. Your question, we are taking it up, and at the end only. And if you have any question, kindly keep them right in the chat box, or otherwise keep writing in your notebook, and then at the end you can write or you can ask them out by muting or your video and audio. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you. Wonderful. Moving to next code, which is the code on wages 2019. So this is the first code which been notified by the central government, which then followed by the three different codes. So this code basically subsumed the four laws, which is Payment of Wages Act 1936, Minimum Wages Act 1948, the Payment of Bonus Act, and Equal Remuneration Act. So majorly it talks about the wage and benefits and compensations. So the definition of employee remains same. It is as was earlier also in previous code also. The wage, it is a major breakthrough definition of wages, because this is the code which bring the unified definition of wages and giving away all ambiguities which was earlier. And also it also stops some of the unfair practices from both sides, from employer and employee side, where we used to keep certain allowances higher side, or intentionally keeping the certain component lower side to give away the remuneration in terms of retirement benefits and all. So this liberty, it has taken away from the employer now. It is clearly defined wages now. So wage defined, it include basic pay, dearness allowance, retaining allowance, and those specifically A2I is excluded. That I'll explain in next slide from the definition. However, calculating of wages, if there is the components such as bonus, value of house accommodation, PF, conveyance, special expenses, HRA, remuneration payable under settlement, OT, or even commission payable to employees exceed one half of the remuneration, the amount which exceed one shall be the deemed as wages. So it defines certain components which are specifically excluded from the definition of wages, but it also capped that amount of that exclusion up to 50%. So in case it is more than 50%, the exceeding amount will be considered the wages for the purpose of this very act. So in any case, now you cannot go beyond 50% as a allowances, which is specifically excluded, which earlier we used to keep disproportionate sometime to avoid certain liability, or sometime for the betterment of employee, which needs more in-hand salaries. It also strengthen also that there should be no discrimination specifically on the employee in the ground of gender in matter of wage for similar work or similar nature. So you cannot discriminate the wages on the ground of gender between male and female, or nowadays transgender also. So I'll explain you by this illustration. I'll go a little slow so that we can understand now. Right. Before that, I will. What is the definition of wage now? So it specifically said only these three components will be inclusion, and these are specifically excluded component, like statutory bonus, any kind of accommodation, HRA, utilities, light, water, medical, etc., PF or pension fund contribution, conveyance or traveling consumption means LTA, any sum paid to defray special work expenses, like defray special expenses comes if you are getting some newspaper which is relevant to your job, or you're getting some tool allowance which is required to perform your job, or if you have a uniform at place in your organization, uniform washing allowance, such allowances which is defray special expenses is can be excluded from here. Any remuneration paid under settlement, any settlement which is signed, overtime allowance, any commission, gratuity, and detachment compensation. These are specific exclusion which is excluded from the definition, and condition of the exclusion is if it should not be more than 50%. If it is more than 50%, it will by default shift in inclusion and form the wages. It also limits the wage in kind. So where employee is given a remuneration kind, the value of such remuneration does not exceed 15%. So if you're giving anything in kind, uh, that kind, any coupon or any gifting, any car which is specifically given in kind, so that amount also should not exceed more than 15% of the total wages. So now let me explain the scenario here.
ચાલુ થઈ ગયું નિયમ લઈ તો આપણું ચાલુ કોઈ ચાલુ થયું
Mr. Siddharth, thank you. Yes, please carry on.
So scenario one, where the basic pay is 50 rupees, right? Exclusion allowance is 50 rupees, all allowance excluded. Total gross will be 100. So as per the definition of new wage code, your wage would be 50 rupees. That means all the retirement benefit, all which is linked to your basic pay, retirals, will be calculated on this 50 rupees. But in scenario two, where your basic pay is 25 rupees and excluded allowance is 75 rupees, your gross remains same, but again wages will become 50 rupees. Why? Because the 75 is 75% of 100 rupees total gross wages. So 25 rupees will shift towards basic pay for the calculation of wages. That is why your wages will, as per the code, would be 50 rupees. That means you are not simply deducting PF, ESIC, or PF and other statutory liability on 25 rupees. That will be deducted and calculated on the 50 rupees. Scenario 3 is where your basic pay is 60 rupees and excluded allowance is 40 rupees, total gross is 100 rupees. Your wages, as per the code, would be 60 rupees. So all benefit, statutory benefit, allowances and allowance compound need to be linked to new definition of wages. So what is the impact of labor code in compensation sector? So historically, if you see, this is a study by Aon. The most company would have basic to gross pay ratio from 25% to 50%. So most of the organization keep their basic salary of total gross wages in the range of 25 to 50%. The ratio evolved as a market benchmark, mostly to take advantage of tax efficient allowance. So it has a two way. One is, of course, there are some allowances which is tax exempted, like car lease, rental, fuel reimbursement, and such other allowances. But additionally, also to keep the liability of PF and other statutory like gratuity to low, so sometimes some of the organization keep intentionally low also. The third aspect also there, where some employee is willing to have more in hand salary. Such cases also available. So all could potentially change with the new labor code guidelines. I just shared in the previous slide. I shared the previous slide the example. So in current state, the basic is 25 to 50%, and these all allowances and deduction 50 to 75%. So potential future would be the basic should be around 50%, and this exemption should not exceed 50%. So that should be the yes, but there will be challenge is there is enough space for tax efficient allowance that we as a HR we have to figure out in consultation with the expert of comp and bench structure of the we have to consult the legal expert for the better interpretation. So I'm sharing here with the CTC model because it is very popular nowadays, CTC model, with small examples so that we all can understand how it is going to impact. So in current case, the basic is 25 rupees. Flexible allowance is keep 72 rupees. PF you calculate on 12% of basic comes to be 3 rupees. And total gross is 100 rupees. So this is the employer rupees 3 rupees and employees. Employer and employer both 3 rupees deductions. So his cash in hand salary will be 94 rupees in current scenario. And then we calculated income tax, which is 28.2%. So cash in hand is 65.8 rupees, right? So this is the in hand salary. So I'm trying to explain you how it is going to impact our retiral, how it is going to impact our employee in hand salary, and in the CTC model, right? So if we revise as per the gross ratio as per the wage code, the basic will go up to 50 rupees, flexible amount allowance will become 44 rupees, and the provident will become because 6 rupees from the employer side. Total gross will become 100 rupees. So if we reduce employer employee both PF, cash in hand salary will become 88 rupees in CTC model. So there is a reduction of in hand salary, right? Income tax reduced, but cash in hand salary also reduced 61.6 rupees. So this is how there is a reduction. This is going to impact employee also, and hence salary of 6% in this case. So under this CTC model, most employer would aim to offset higher basic and PF contribution by reducing the special allowance or some flexible allowance in basket. Depending on the ratio between basic pay and gross pay, the reduction in the salary in hand would range from 3 to 8%. The PF contribution has increased. At the same time, the employee would have a much reduced.
Ruchi Kumari, Advocate OS Punia, please mute yourself. Mr. Punia, Mr. Mit, you can do from your side because you are the host right now. I cannot do anything here. Go to the participants and then. Okay, another is the Ruchi Kumari. Thank you so much. Please carry on.
So at the same time, employee would have to much reduce flexible allowance basket, and employee would get further impacted if they have earlier opted for flexible benefits such as NPS and car leasing, right? So this is the thing which we have to look into it, how we are this is going to impact. So I'm trying to illustrate from the gratuity and leave encashment viewpoint also how it's going to impact as per the new wage code. So I taken the same example where the basic salary is 25, past service I consider 10 years, and the gratuity would become 144.223 rupees. So in the current scenario, if we revise our structures, it becomes 50 rupees and 10 year of services, so it becomes 288.46. So there's a percentage increase in this example we say. So there is a 100% increase in liability of gratuity. For the leave encashment, if I'll see in the same structure, if it is encashable on basic, and so leave balance I consider 45 days and consider 30 working days. So the current arguable leave encashment is 37.5 rupees. If I revise the structure and as per the wage code, I'll consider where basic has become 50 rupees, the leave balance same will cost as employer for 75 rupees. So this is also 100% increase in the ability of the leave encashment. So if I'll see the structure from the cost viewpoint, the actuarial liability against gratuity and leave encashment plan would increase sharply if the definition wage is applied retrospectively, because this law does not clarify this definition will be applied retrospectively or the prospectively the moment it will announce. If it is retrospectively applied, there is a sharply increase in leave encashment and there will be sharp increase in gratuity expenses and actuarials. So depending on the ratio between basic and gross pay, the increase in liability could be even up to 100% or higher particular scenario. If in some companies, if you are not limited your benefit of gratuity up to 2 million, which is 20 lakh rupees as per the law. Some organizations include gratuity within the CTC, but unlike PF, this will not help as the past service liability would increase as one go. So leave encashment plan where the encashment is paid on gross pay will not get impacted. So in some organization, leave encashment which is paid on gross salary, it is not going to impact there. But where it is paid on basic salary or DA salary, they are going to impact in terms of liability of leave encashment. So what are the options we have as an HR professional? So we need to be mindful, or we need to think and start discussion with our consultant or our expert. Do we need to cap gratuity scheme up to 2 million? In terms of leave encashment, do we bring down the leave accumulation limit For example, if in an organization the current limit is 90, whether we bring it to 60 or so, right? Do we encash leave before labor code kick in? That also an option can be explored. Do we want to encash the leaves before it is notified? If leave encashment is on gross pay, do we bring down to 50% of gross to some cost? This option can also be explored. So these are thought to ponder and to consult with your expert. Do you want to bring down PF contribution statutory minimum wage limits? So many organizations restrict their PF up to wage limit, but mostly progressive organizations they pay complete on the basic and DA. Compensation, do we need to review our existing compensation structure and remove component heavy on the administrations? Or do we start monitoring working hours also? So that because over time also, if you exceed 50%, it is exclusion, it will also attract liability in terms of PF and gratuity. So impact on other component of pay if basic pay is payable. House rent allowance, it is going to impact because up to 50% of basic is tax exempted in metro cities. There may be HRA allowances will go up. If in some organization there is a GPA policies or insurance cover which is linked to the basic pay of employees, so it will lead to higher premium for such policy and schemes for the insurance company. Where there is an NPS scheme means employers which is 10% and superannuation 15%, this contribution will increase in near future once the labor code will apply. So this 10% also revised 14% by last budget by the central governments. LTA linked to basic in some organization where it's 1 month basic salary or allocation towards would go up if it is linked to your basic salary. ESIC current include HRA, but does labor code definition of wage exclude HRA, potentially resulting in more employee falling in within the threshold of ESI. So this is current 21,000 selling of ESIC. While calculating the ESIC wages, it include HRA, but it will exclude certain allowances which will bring more people in the umbrella under the ESIC. Potential exclusion of some employees if increase eligibility salary is higher than the current basic pay used as the eligibility threshold. These are some probable impact which we can foresee. What is the outstanding issues? Although most of issues been addressed, but still there is certain ambiguity on certain issues like wage in kind. We need to clarify component include wage in kind, like car leasing, company lease accommodation, meal voucher. It has to be more elaborately defined. Exclusion from the wages. The list of exclusion from the definition of wage is not comprehensive. No mention of flexible allowance, special allowance, supplementary allowance, variable bonus, LTIP, income tax, mobile, shift, NPS, etc. in the list of exclusion. Gratuity funding. So does the code mandate 100% funding of the gratuity liability? Overtime. Whether overtime need to be paid to white collar also employee as a professional? Because this code, wage code, does not segregate between worker and white collar. It stated employee, which include a white collar also. That means even a senior leadership in organization, they also need to pay overtime if they put extra additional hours beyond the assigned times. Whether maternity wage also need to cap at 15% of gross wages, this also need to be seen. Does leave encashment need to be on new definition of wages? Employee need to clarity on ESIC, new eligibility of benefit threshold under new definition of wages. Alignment with the other legislation like income tax and shop. Clarity need on change of definition of salary under IT law, HRA, CLRA, NPS, superannuation income gratuity. Need to clarify overlap under shop excellent in terms of wage overtime and leave encashment. So these are some outstanding issues which need to be addressed. Minimum Wages Act, are you with me? All the participants. Can I see thumbs up of everyone?
So for how this workshop is going on, kindly give your thumbs up into chat. So that would be okay, because if you don't want to raise the video or open the video, so it would be otherwise on the chat. So thank you, Ruben, everyone, Saiket. So okay, Archana Sharma, thank you so much. Continue because this is only out of 40. So there are only the 7 impression we get. Monali, Shamil, thank you so much, everyone. Please carry on. So it is giving more motivation to the facilitator, and he will drive the more interactive and action level idea for you, and the experience he has been with the industries. Thank you, Shri. One request, Mr. Hariharan, you are unmute. Please mute your mic. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Advocate Punia. Okay, thank you so much. Please, Mr. Amit, carry on. Okay, Nikhil Chauhan, thank you so much. Slightly slowly if you can. Okay, so there is one request to Mr. Nikhil Chauhan. So please go little slightly. Okay, thank you, Madam. Nitya Parik. Thank you so much. Please carry on now.
Uh, just for the information of all, I'll share this presentation with People Matter. They can later on share on with all the participants. So they can refer and they can consult their expert advisor or their specialist or legal advisors.
No worry for anything. So we are also providing you the recording. So everything you can try it out and go multiple time with this. So that is our surety to you. You are getting all that thing which maybe had been said to you while you have been registered for this 2 days conference. Here is your learning and everything we are taking care. Thank you so much.
So moving ahead, which is the wage of audit, which touching upon the chapter 2, which is minimum wages. So it is applicable now to organized and unorganized sector also. So unorganized, I'm talking about the household help, domestic help. It also covers the unorganized sectors, which is earlier were not covered under the definition of minimum wages. Now, no employer shall pay to any employee wages less than the minimum rate of wages notified by the appropriate government. The minimum rate of wage on time work basically may be fixed on hourly, daily, or monthly basis based on the nature of job. This is a welcoming point because if you see the currently the minimum wages difference is very high within in the neighboring state. So as of now, this is the highest in Delhi, followed by Haryana and some other state. But if you see Rajasthan wages, it's still 8,000 rupees minimum wages for the unskilled person, whereas it is as good as high 14,000-15,000 rupees in some state. So this code.
Prabhat please could you mute yourself because there is some background noise. Prabhat T. Sorry, it is Prabhakar T, not Prabhat. Still your mic is on. This is my humble request to all the participants so that it can go smoothly and your learning should not be interrupted. If you can do it, please, Amit, please go from your end because you are the host. Go to the participant and then Prabhar T and mute him, this person. Thank you so much. Please carry on.
So the central government now what they had done minimum floor wages. So and may set different minimum wages for the different state and region. Earlier there was no provision of fixed floor wage. That means the central government based on the different region will set a floor wages and the appropriate government of state cannot set minimum wages below than the floor wages. So as of now, if you see, there is no concept of floor wages by the central government, and because of that, especially even the employees also, and of course employer also, they get a lot of trouble in terms of getting resources. For example, this will majorly impact the neighboring state, which is touching to the border areas. For example, if you want to hire people in Rajasthan bordering touching to Haryana, so there's a tendency of people moving towards Haryana rather than going to Rajasthan because their wages is high, right? So same way from the Haryana to Delhi also. So to bring that parity and ensure that minimum threshold of wages, the central government will notify now minimum floor wages, which will be the threshold for all state and any state government or appropriate government of state cannot set minimum wages below the floor wages. That is a welcoming point for the employer side also and employee side also. The minimum wage will be revised or reviewed by centers and state government, considering factors like skills, difficulty of work, ordinarily at the interval not exceeding 5 years. So it should be revised and reviewed by center state government at least bare minimum within 5 years. Although there is the adjustment which is done by annually by the each appropriate government to adjustment in DA based on the cost of living index.
Steffi, please mute yourself. There is some background noise. Thank you so much.
So overtime wages, the code provides that in case employee works on any day in excess of number of hours constitute a normal working day, the employer is to pay him every hour or for the part of hour. So worked in excess at the overtime rate, which is, should not be less than twice the normal rate of wages. That means every 30 minutes of extra working hour should be paid double the ordinary wages of rated, which is been paid. So here we need to be mindful about it is talking about wages, which is defined in wage code. Increase in period of limitation for filing the claims. The code prescribed a limitation period of 3 years for filing of claim by employee as against the existing time period varying from 6 months to 2 years to provide a worker more time to settle his claim. The code now allow the trade union of which the employee is a member to file claim. Additionally, code place the burden of proof on the employer to prove the amount claimed by the employee have been paid. So this is the flag raised for the all employer for the HR professionals. So now the limitations which employee used to file under the various act like Bonus Act, Payment of Wages Act. So now this limitation which was earlier ranging from 6 months to 2 years, the limitation has been extended up to 3 years. That means if any dispute, he can raise to different controlling authority within a period of 3 years. And additionally, also this code empowered trade union of representative to file such claims not only by the employee. And one more thing which has been added here clearly, the proof and the burden of proof that we have paid such benefit lies with the employer now. He has to prove that we have paid all the benefit within a stipulated time as per the wage, as per the code on wages. So this is the point which need to be taken care and to be considerate. So payment of wages applicable to all class of employee and employee defined in ceiling of 24,000 under Payment of Wages Act 36 is done away. Now, so earlier the Payment of Wages Act only applied to the employee which used to withdraw this wages of up to 24,000 rupees. Now all employee, irrespective of their wages, are protected under the Payment of Wages Act. So this need to be mindful. So earlier, mostly the claim used to go from the workmen or the unorganized sectors. Now this cover all the white collar, including your leadership team. Cessation of employment in case of removal, dismissal, retrenchment, and resignation of an employee, the wage has to be paid within 2 working days. So this is also cumbersome task for we have to be mindful that in current scenario, only in case of dismissal and retrenchment or removal, this provision is there. But now resignation also been added. If somebody resign from your organization, so within a 2 working days, you have to pay their dues. So you have to make your system such swiftly. You have to make arrangement in your payroll system. You have to make SOPs like that so that it can be done and complied within 2 working days. Ways to be deposited in the bank of employee electronically or by check. Wage can be paid by cash only up to amount notified by central government. So the primary mode would be through online transfer or check, but it can be paid in cash also. This limit can be notified by the central government from time to time. payment of bonus. The amount of bonus shall be credited into bank account of employee within 8 months of close of accounting year. So that is why if you see, generally in Indian context, we paid bonus at the time of Diwali. So why we paid on Diwali? One is of course festive reason. Second is because if our financial year close in April, March, so March to December generally calculate 8 months. So we comply here 8 months. However, this code provide provision. This period can be extended up to 2 years by making an application to appropriate government with sufficient reason. If the appropriate government satisfied, they can extend this period up to 2 years. The employee will be disqualified from receiving bonus if he is dismissed from service or conviction of sexual harassment. Other misconduct of disqualification of bonus is similar as earlier. So one thing we have to be mindful, because there is a lot of talk around POSH. So this act specifically disqualified an employee to get bonus who is convicted under sexual harassment. So this is additional been added, which was earlier only limited to fraud, riotous, disorderly behavior, theft, and moral turpitude. Now, this code specifically exclude people or disqualified people or employees who've been convicted under sexual harassment. This is the welcoming for employers, income inspector come felicitator. So now this code has changed. There is no, just to avoid inspector Raj or inspector as a burden. So they changed their nomenclature from inspector come facilitator. So appointment of an inspector come under facilitator not only to carry inspection and provide information to employee to better compliance. So now job of inspector is not just to come and have inspect. It is their job has extended. They have to felicitate employer and employees and trade union also for the better compliance. Inspection will be done on the basis of inspection scheme, which will include a web-based inspection schedule. The inspection scheme will be decided by the central government. So for the governance point, so now the time will go away that any time inspector will come and say that I'll inspect the premises. So this will be monitored through central portal under central government, where the inspection will be assigned through the inspector come felicitator to particular organization. Then only they can do inspection. Assigning inspection come felicitator outside their jurisdiction through a random computerized system will delink inspector from dictated geographical region, and thus will lead to transparency, accountability, and better enforcement. So now if you see, if there is an inspector for different circles, geographical circles. So now this portal will enable to assign any inspection to any inspector of any circle, so that geographical boundary should not be limit. So this is a step towards more transparent inspection, more accountable inspection, and to give away the inspection system which is existing, which is a burden over the employers. The jurisdiction of an inspector or felicitator is widened under the wage code while earlier it was restricted. Employer has to deal with a single inspector for compliance instead of multiple inspectors. The appointed inspector come felicitator may advise employer and worker related to compliance and inspect the establishment as assigned by the appropriate government. So the organization will be assigned inspectors, which can be single point of contact in terms of any consultation, in terms of any inspection for the employers. Different offense and miscellaneous penalty under the Code of Wages. The employer who pay less than what is due under the code will be pay a fine up to 50,000 rupees. So there is increase in penalties can be imposed. And if similar offense is committed within a 5-year period, imprisonment up to 3 months or fine of up to 1 lakh or both can be imposed. If employer contravene any other provision of code, a fine of 20,000 rupees can be imposed, or similar offense is committed within 5 years, the imprisonment for the term up to 1 month or fine up to 40K or both can be imposed. In case of non-maintenance of record and any register, the employer can be fined up to 10,000 rupees. Where claim has been filed on account of non or less payment of remuneration, or bonus or wage or any account of deduction not authorized by code from the wage of employee, the burden of proof that shall have been paid shall be on employer. This I already touched in previous slide also. So any short payment or any payment which has to be made under the code and not been made to the employees, an employee file a complaint, so burden of proof lies with the employer now. So this we end with the code on wages. So before moving ahead, I would like to hear the reactions on chat box. Are we going, my pace is okay, or I need to slow down, or what is your reactions?
Please, more people. So only 5 people have given the reaction. Okay, yes, sir, perfectly. Saket, very good. Thank you. Other people, please continue write your reaction here so that it can bring more motivation to. There are again one more than 1 hour to go with, and some practical things is more coming into this workshop and the facilitation by Mr. Amit Malik. Thank you so much, Monali. Thank you. Carry on. There are some more that the chats or thumbs up we required here so that we can move ahead. It should be a learning and all that practitioner level touch point which has been touched by Mr. Malik so far on the different codes, and it will bring you the new insights that how you can prepare yourself and ready for the future. Thank you so much, everyone. Please, Mr. Malik, carry on now. Dheeraj Chaubey, thank you so much.
So next code which I'm sharing on Social Security Code, which is 2020. So this Social Security Code subsume different social act, which is basically Employee Compensation Act, State Insurance Act. There's a list of the act which will subsumed under this Code of Social Security Act. So this code applicable to all establishment subject to minimum threshold of employee, which is consistent with the current regime, such as PF 20 or more employees. There is no change. For ESI also 10 or more employees. Establishment working in hazardous sector would mandatory will be linked to with SIC, even if there is only one worker working on it. This is a change point. So any industry which is working in hazardous sector, even if one employee is working there, they have to mandatorily cover under SIC. For example, chemical industry that and which are manufacturing hazardous substance or by process of further process, such industry they have to mandatory cover. To every establishment, maternity benefit to every establishment being a factory or to every shop and establishment in which 10 or more employees are employed. So be mindful, it is not talking about 10 or more female employee. It is not talking about 10 or more contractual employee or honorable employee or trainee employee. It is talking about 10 numbers simply. So you have to be mindful if you have 15 employee and only one woman, and then you are bound to give the maternity benefits, right? So gratuity to every factory or to every shop establishment in which 10 or more employees are employed. Wage, it is same as the wage code. It is consistent with the wage code. Same as 50% exclusion cannot be there. As I already shared in wage code, there is a direct impact on PF, ESIC, bonus, and OT and gratuity. So I'll not touch upon here because it's already explained by the illustrations. Now there is a new category of worker has been included in the course, which is a gig worker or platform worker. Basically, this category of workers evolved over a period of time because of technology and changing in the scenario or workplace. So gig worker means a person who perform work or participant in work arrangement and earn from such activity outside of traditional employer-employee relationship, which include freelancer, worker-employee on project-based work, short-term work, most commonly platform like Uber, Ola, Swiggy, Amazon delivery boys, Zomato, etc. Platform worker basically means a person engaged or in undertaking platform work, means a form of employment in which organization or individual use a online platform to access other organization or individual to solve specific problems or to provide specific service in exchange of payment, like Urban Clap, Amazon delivery boys. Unorganized sector, it also extends the benefit of social security to unorganized sector, which include home-based and self-employed workers. Although there is no major difference between gig and platform worker, the first time in India that application-based assignment performed by many workers being recognized as an employee-employer relationship. Contract labor, it is specifically defined here again, means a worker hired or in connection with the work by through or contractor with or without knowledge of principal employer, and include interstate migrant worker, but does not include an employee who is regularly employed by the contractor for any activity of his establishment, and his employment is governed by mutually accepted standard of these condition of employment and get periodical increment in the pay. So if any contractor engage employee who is dedicatedly working for the assignment of contractor itself, and he is getting periodically increment, will be excluded from the contractor labor definition. It also include subcontractor also. Employee means if any person other than apprentice, employee on a wages by the establishment either directly or through a contractor, or to do any skilled, semi-skilled, unskilled, manual operation, supervisorily, managerial, administrative, technical, or clerical, or any other work. Right? So here also it only exclude apprentice which are engaged under Apprentice Acts. So I also shared in the Industrial Relation Code also, you have to be mindful while engaging different training schemes under different skilling programs, what is their contract, what is their arrangement, whether they should be covered under the benefit of PF, ESIC, bonus, then you have to do proper due diligence before engaging such people under these schemes. Provided that the PF ESIC employee shall mean such employee drawing wages, which is current selling limit is again ESIC 21,000 PF, which is likely to increase in future. Provided further that the purpose of counting of employee for coverage of any establishment for PF and ESIC, the employees whose wage are more than wage ceiling, so notified by the central government, shall also be taken into account. So basically here what here it is clarify here. Suppose you have 10 people whose wages are under 21, 5 people which wages are under the 21,000 rupees, but the rest of the employees which were drawing more than 21,000, while calculating the applicability, you have to include that people also while counting the numbers who are drawing more than the ceiling limit. Provided also the purpose of the employee compensation, the term employee shall mean only such person as specified in the second schedule, and such other person or class or person central government, as case may be state government may add to the said schedule by notification for the purpose of said government. So there's for the purpose of employee compensation, the second schedule you have to refer where it is specified who shall be considered for the purpose of compensation. In 7th chapter of the code, employee compensation in the second schedule of the code, employer, sales promotion employee are covered, wherein earlier they were covered by the virtue of specific section under various state shop establishment act and notification. So now this code specifically covering sales promotion employee under the ambit of benefit for social security, which was earlier covered under different virtues, different acts which been passed. Further, for the purpose of employee compensation, only person listed in second schedule are covered. Therefore, employee working in office and shop are not covered for this purpose. Applicability. ESI is applicable to every establishment in which 10 or more persons are employed, other than seasonal factory, gig worker, unorganized sector, plantation worker are also brought under the purview of ESI. Now, the Zomato employees who are delivery boys, Amazon delivery boys, Uber drivers, they are also if they were they're also covered under the ESIC. If employer and majority employees agree, then voluntary rescission has also been allowed under this code. So this is also welcoming point. Suppose if you are not eligible as per the act, and your number is, for example, not up, reaching to 10, and you are 5 people, but if both the category agreed, employer and employees, they can go for ESIC registration for the benefit voluntarily. So ESIC has been increased the facility up to 740 district now. Benefit, this is also welcoming point, and we should make a note of it. Benefit even when contribution are not paid. For example, the employer is default and he has not paid ESIC contribution of beneficiary. ESIC will not deny benefit to the beneficiary. He will give benefit to the beneficiary and he will recover the said benefit from the employer, including the damages and interest which has to be paid by the employer. So here the employee will not suffer just because the employer has not paid the contribution to the ESIC. Provision of gratuity has kept on same, which was earlier. It has changed as it has introduced a new category of employment, fixed term employment. So it also given away in terms of fixed term employment, the gratuity has to paid on pro rata basis. Suppose your fixed term contract is for 1 year, so gratuity has to paid when the contract is over. If he has worked for 9 months, you have to calculate on pro rata basis. So the continuity service of 5 years is not mandatory in terms of fixed term employee. For working journalist, the eligibility period of instead of 5 years, it is 3 years. In case of employee employed on fixed term employment or a decreased employee, the employer shall paid gratuity on pro rata basis, as I shared earlier. It is also noted is that Section 53(2) of Code, gratuity will be calculated as per the new definition of wages. Therefore, the cost will go up. So as I shared in wage code, so the gratuity, it will be calculated not only basic and DA, it will be calculated on the as per the definition of wages. So this is likely to increase our liability on the gratuity. Crutch facility under maternity benefit. Now every establishment into which chapter applies, in which 50 employees or such numbers of employees as may prescribed by central government are employed, right? So crutch facility is mandatory. It also provide the crutch facility a provision in respect of common crutch facility. Basically, that establishment may avail common crutch facility by central government, state government, municipality, or private entity, or provided by non-government organization, or by any organization group of establishments who may pool their resources for setting up common crutch in the manner they agree for such purpose. So this act given a flexibility to multiple employers, they come together in the near vicinity, they can hire a crutch and they can establish a crutch together and they can give a common facility for multiple companies, organizations, females. This acts, the act of maternity does not define arduous nature of work. It although carry the word arduous nature of job should not be deployed during such certain period of time. Now this maternity new code has defined clearly the any work or expression of arduous shall means any work which involve or require strenuous efforts or difficulty and tiring in nature. That work you cannot deploy expecting female employee. So offense and penalty under Social Security Act, the fine has increased more than 10 times, which was earlier as compared to Act now. So this is amounting from 50,000 to 1 lakh rupees. Subsequent offense have to fine increase up to 2 lakh rupees, provided that where such second or subsequent offense is for failure of by the employer to pay any contribution, charge, cess, maternity benefit, gratuity or compensation which is under this code, is liable to pay for such second or subsequent offense be punishable with imprisonment for a terms which may extend to 3 years, but which shall not be less than 2 years, shall also be liable to pay fine of 3 lakh. So any subsequent offense on the default employer will attract imprisonment and fine up to 3 lakh rupees. Employment information and monitoring. This code also provide mandatory for all organizations. Certain number of worker or more to compulsory report the vacancy.
Ujjwala, excuse me, kindly mute yourself. Ujjwala Nalwade. Yeah, thank you so much. Amit, there was one request from Nicholas. So when you will finish this code on social security, kindly reshare the chapter 1 of this social security code. So maybe he was requested to that run this slide, chapter 1. So not
Sure,
right now,
sure.
but later on. Thank you so
Sure,
much.
sure. So this information would be given to online portal now. So these all code promote paperless process, and they're taking a lot of integration with technology, and it is not limited to employees and law. It is also integrating state governments and central government also, right? So this information mandatorily has to publish by the every employer vacancies on career center, which is currently employment exchange, and code defined as a career center, meaning any office. So maintained by central government for providing career services, including registration, collection, furnishing of employment, employer person who seek employment, and occurrence of the vacancies. So this is miscellaneous. Application of Aadhaar number is mandatory now for availing any benefits. So make sure that while engaging any employee, they should have authentic Aadhaar card. It should be part of mandatory joining formality. Should be there. If it is not there, ensure that it should be there in database of employer, because to avail any benefit under the social security, it is made mandatory now. The code empower the appropriate government to exempt any industry as long as a class of industry exempt from the provision of the code. So this code also empower appropriate government for exemptions of certain class of industries. It has also enacted that the case of transfer of establishment, the employer and the person to whom the establishment transferred shall jointly severely be liable for the payment of cess or other amount under this. So if there is some liability and meanwhile the establishment transferred or the occupier change or any ownership has been changed, so it also will consider the liability also been transferred to that organ, the new employer or the new owner of the establishment. However, the liability is limited to the obtained asset by him at the time of transfer. So we have finished with the code on social security outlines. I would like to see the chat box of your reactions are with me. And before moving to next, I'll one more time I'll read the chapter 1. I would like to see the reaction of the people who's a participant here.
Yes, we would like to check that how many are active participants here. Yes, Nitya Parikh. Yes, please move on. So everyone, please give your thumbs up. Steffi, okay, good presentation. Right now you have some question. Please keeping the question at the end only. Here only we are looking for the reactions, how engaged the people you are there, and you may be rightly getting the right information and practicable idea. Whatever the question would be there. So especially we have capped the 30 minutes. Too many. So every questions we will keep up, and we will also pick them up here to getting the right that answer from Mr. Amit Malik. Thank you so much. Thank you everyone. Thank you, Manohara. Thank you, Dr. Nepal Singh ji, and welcome you here into this session. So reaction is rightly from the people. However, it is not going more than 50% out of the. I can consider it as a 42. The two as in the speaker and the facilitator, and second is the moderator. So 42 people are there. So reaction only come to the 18 people. So it should be at least 60%. That would be right. Would be on the right track. However, thank you so much. Your learning is most important for us. So here, Mr. Nicholas was asking about the repeating of one slide. So it is the chapter one, the same slide or another slide? Kindly say yes or no into the chat. Nicholas, are you there?
Can you hear me, sir? Hello? Hello.
Yes, yes, yes. So it is the chapter one. Which slide is visible here? You were asking about this
Understand the contractor wise, the contractor slide.
contractor slide.
This one, this one.
Okay. So you can mute yourself.
Yeah.
So thank you for asking. This here only thing is which is being changed now. So it include interstate migrant worker also, but it does not include under contract labor any employee working for contractor solely to perform his contractor jobs, right? And he is getting periodical increment in the pay, right? So that person will not be, for example, we have 1,000 people working in our own site, and there is a couple of people who's working and who's calculating their wages and benefits who working for contractor. So they not be considered as a contract labor because they are working for the contractors, not for the principal employer, right? So this is been clarified here, and it also includes subcontract. So if you see many nowadays, a lot of focus on outsourcing. There's a lot of subcontracting, and so the subcontractor within the provision of contractor considered as the contractor itself.
Hello.
Mr. Nikhil Chauhan, only write
Yeah.
in the chat box. We are picking the question at the end only. So you can write if you have any queries. You can just write in the chat. So we have
Okay.
specially dedicated 30 minutes for the question and answer session. Okay, thank you so much. Please, Mr. Amit, carry on.
So this brings me to the last code, which is the occupational safety, health, and working condition code. This is the longest one, and it subsumes many enactment, which include it will subsume 13 labor laws, basically majorly Factory Act, Mines Act, Working Journalists, Motor Transport Worker Act, Contract Labor Act, right? Interstate Migration Workmen, Cine Worker, Dock Worker, and the building and other construction workers. So this appropriate government, in case of central public undertaking, and the appropriate government would be central government, even if the holding of the central government is reduced less than 50%. So this is change point. Earlier, it mandated 50% the holding of the central government. Now, any organization which is under the control of central government and it's a central public undertaking, it is not mandatory that the 50% control should be there. Even if it is less than 50%, the appropriate government in such cases will be central government. So the wages, the already explained, the definition of wages remains same, which is we already discussed in wage code. Definition has been revised and include person in supervisory capacity getting salary up to 18,000 rupees. So worker definition has been revised here. Even a person working in supervisory capacity and drawing 18,000 rupees as a wages, which is defined, and it also include working journalist and self-promotion employee will be considered as a worker within the definition of the occupational safety, health, and working condition code. For the building and other construction worker has now increased the limit of eligibility, whereas building or construction worker for residential purpose of individual or group of individual for their own use up to 50,000 is not covered. So if somebody is constructing their own home for domestic use and residential purpose for as an individual or group, and where the value of this is 50 lakhs, are not covered under BOC rule. Self-promotion employee has been revised and include a person in supervisory capacity getting salary up to 18,000 rupees per month and exclude if mainly employed in managerial capacity, administrative capacity. Factory definition been revised, which was earlier with the add of hour 10, without the add of hour 20. Now it has been revised doubled with the add of hour 20 and without the add of hour 40 people. It will be considered factory. Occupier is employer in the case of factory. In case of other establishment, it is a manager or managing director. Contractor also employer as defined in the code. So now the contractor also considered the employer within the definition of the code for the purpose of a principal to principal arrangement. Go down has been introduced first time. Now, what is the go down that has been clarified now? Core activity, which is a major disconnect earlier, and which is, I think this is the largest part, which has been a lot of ambiguity, a lot of litigations. Core activity. Although some states like UP and some other state already defined this activity in their state rules in current legislation also, but now this code centrally define core activity. So any activity for which the establishment is set up include activity which is essential. It is clearly segregate the core activity and other activities such as sanitation, security, canteen, loading, unloading, courier, transport services, ambulance services, and any other activity of intermittent nature. So it is clearly defined the core activity now. So because there's always a dispute whether to deploy a contractor on assembly line or not, right? So usually in earlier legislation, except some stated, it has been mentioned that you cannot deploy in core activity, but core activity was not defined. So now it's clearly been defined here. Interstate migrant worker means a person who is employed in establishment and has been recruited directly by the employer or indirectly through contractor in one state for the employment in such establishment situated in another state and has come to his own from the one state and obtain employment in. Basically, either it is recruited by employer going to the other state or by willing voluntarily by come and employed. So will be considered as an interstate migrate workers. Registration. So this is welcomed point now. So there used to be a multiple registration under multiple acts. Now there is single registration is made under this code that the after commencement of the code, every establishment or factory has to apply of registration within 60 days electronically. And if no intimation is received by the registration from registration authority, it shall be deemed to be registered. That it shall also contain information regarding number of interstate migrant worker working into establishment. So it is also bring liability on the registration authority. It may make them accountable or registration authorities. Suppose if you apply for the registration and within 16 days, if you're not getting any response, by law, it has been deemed as your organization is registered. The cessation of operation also need to be intimated to the registration authority as decided by the appropriate government. Duties of employer and employees. The employer has to provide safe working condition in the facilities by ensuring that plant and machinery is so designed that does not make unsafe place for employee working there. Comply with the occupational safety, health and prescribed under the code. Annual health checkup free of cost may be prescribed by the appropriate government for the all employee or class of employee. That every employer has to issue the appointment letter to the every employee as prescribed. So earlier also the appointment letter was there in Factory Act, but now it has made mandatory. The additional details should be contained as appointment letter. Also, this code also under the rules also publish model appointment letter. It should contain UN number, it should contain Aadhaar number, various unique IDs of employees. So duties of designer, manufacturer, importer, and supplier is defined in the code. Duties of architect, project engineer, designer is also defined in the code. Separate washroom, restroom, and washing facility for transgender has been specified as the DI and B initiatives. The various organizations employing transgender also. So there is now third gender washroom also has to be mandated by the law. A canteen facility limit has been revised, which was earlier 250 workmen for 250 employees. Now it has been revised 100 and more. In any establishment where is 100 and more employee, including contractual, be mindful about it, are working, then it is mandatory the canteen facility has to provide by the establishment. It also revised the limit of appointment of welfare officer in factory, mine, and plantation, where 250 or more workers are ordinarily employed in qualification, condition of service, and duty of such welfare officer. So earlier this limit was 500, which has been bring down to 250. Hours of work and annual leave with wages. So chapter 7 deal with respect to hours of work that is limited to 8 hours a day. The period of work shall also be fixed as not to exceed such hour with such interval and spread hour which may be identified by the state government and state rules. Extra wages for overtime shall be double the rate of wages and the consent made mandatory now. Please be mindful of here. The worker consent is mandatory for the overtime. The hour will be decided by the appropriate government under the different rules. Maintenance of register and record and returns. The chapter related to maintenance of register, record, and filing returns employed electronically. So it is given away with the physical register paperwork. It is provided electronically, you can maintain. As I already shared, inspector cum facilitator and other authorities. Chapter 9 has redefined inspector under the code, who has now renamed as inspector cum facilitator. A change is made in code at section 35, where inspector cum facilitator is required to inform and sensitize employers and workers regarding provision of the code and compliance. So now it is duty of inspector to sensitize and the employer and the workers regarding the provision of the code and compliance. Special provision relating to employment of women, because there is a lot of thirst for the equal opportunity and DINB initiatives to working hours for women as between 7 p.m. to 6 p.m. with their consent and adhering to the rule of holiday working hours and different state rules. The provision has been made now. The woman has been empowered to work on dangerous operation with their consent and with the adequate safety precautions provided by the employer. Chapter 9 has redefined inspector under the code, who is now renamed as a felicitator. Contract labor applies to establishment engaging 50 or more contract labor or contractor. Company employing 50 or more contract labor. Appointment letter is made mandatory, even to the contractor also. This contract employee also. This will also apply only establishment engaging 10 or more interstate migrant worker. It is provided section 61 that employer shall pay, this is the point to be noted, shall pay every lump sum amount of fare to and fro journey to his hometown. Under the new definition of audiovisual worker, singer, newsreader, dancer, stunt person, technical artist, work like supervisors, etc. has been covered to some wage ceiling to be notified by the central government. Building or other construction work means the construction, it is defined building and or construction work, alteration, repair, maintenance or demolition in relation to building street, road, railway, trams, airfields, irrigation, drainage, embankment, and navigation work, flood control work, including stormwater drainage work, generation, transmission, distribution of power. So this has been clearly, including list of activity has been clearly defined the building and construction works. Offense and penalty. In order to comply with safety of all working in the premises has been enacted various offense from 1 lakhs to 5 lakhs rupees. In continuation of offense, hazardous process has been revised to 20 lakh rupees. This is very capital. And imprisonment of the 5 years of both. So any offense committed in hazardous process will attract penalty of 20 lakh rupees if proven. In case of any non-compliance which result into an accident or dangerous occurrence causing death of shall be punishable with the imprisonment for terms which may extend to 2 years or fine which shall not less than 5 lakhs rupees or both. because there is a recently a lot of safety incident happened which was a fatal. So the capital punishment has increased multifold. The employee who has been made reasonable, responsible to adhere to the safety provision so desire to be followed. In case the employee contravene or violate any of the safety measure so desired, will be penalized up to 10,000 rupees. The employer shall not be held responsible. This is point to be noted. The employer shall not be held responsible for violation of safety norm so violated by the employee. If employee has violated any safety norms intentionally, and because of that some incident happened, so then employer cannot be held responsible for this. Even employee can also be penalized, as I shared, up to the final penalty of 10,000 rupees. It provides the social security for unorganized workers also. Newly introduced section respect public emergency and disaster pandemic. There are different schedules which you should go through. Schedule 1 talks about the hazardous process, 2 talks during safety provision, Schedule 3 notifiable diseases. So this brings me to the last slide, which the question answer sessions which we planned. So over to Mr. Beat now.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Amit, for bringing to all the participants through the interactive as well as the deep understanding about the 4 new codes. So we are now putting through the question and answer session. Before that, as we have been defined, so after every session, there would be one photo session. We are putting them on LinkedIn so there you can directly connect to Mr. Amit Malik. So what now you have to do before going for the question and answer sessions, just keep your screen on, everyone, and then after we are putting to the question and answer session whatever the questions and code you would have, so that we are going to pick. Keep your mic off for just 2 and 3 minutes. We are just bringing picking the picture for everyone. And Mr. Amit, can you just down this screen sharing so that I can put everyone into the slides? Okay, another people, please come to the screen. Everyone, please. Keep your mic off, because when we would ask you to raise your hand for question, then you can that unmute your mic. So right now we are just clicking one picture together, and so that we can have everyone on the screen that we are sharing on the LinkedIn, where you can directly connect to Mr. Amit. And here I'm also sharing the LinkedIn page of the people managers. You can go through and you can check out there and directly connect to Mr. Amit. So let me just share it, put it here into the chat, and then after one screen that sharing on the LinkedIn, we are going. Oh. First, I have to move Mr. Amit as in the speaker. I have to make myself host. Okay, here is the link of People Manager LinkedIn. You can go to checkout, and everyone. Okay, still there are many people who does not have opened their screen. Quickly, everyone should become here around there are the 41 people now. Out of 41, there are 2 people. One is this facilitator, second is me as that the moderator. 39 people should be on the screen. Quickly, we have there. However, we have kept the 30 minutes for the question and answer. In 2 minutes, we would have this screen picture, and who are available on the WhatsApp also, they are getting it. And then the LinkedIn I have been shared here in the chat. You can go through there and check out that maybe next 1 minute our team is putting it there to all of you, so that you can directly connect there with Mr. Amit also. And this is not just an learning, it is the networking and connecting to, so that you can get most of the learnings, connecting to everyone further. And this is from our side. And now, so thank you so much everyone. Just in 2 minutes, our team is putting it on the LinkedIn, so you can go to the page after 2 and 3 minutes, and then we can. Okay. So thank you so much, everyone. Now we are okay for the question and answer sessions. So keep the question respectful. Raise your hand. Give the space to other speaker, the other also. And if you have multiple questions, you can ask them one by one. So opportunity, there are the 30 minutes now for question and answer. Whatever the queries you have been noted, so that we are all going to discuss, and Mr. Amit is going to answer all those. So thank you so much. And please, whatever the questions you have, you can ask it first. There are some questions which come into the chat. So first, can I pick up all those first, or we can go for the direct question which the participant could ask through unmuting themselves? So I think it is better to anyone who want to ask the question.
I think Nitya has asked. Nitya,
Okay.
you can put a question.
Yes, please. Nitya,
So the question is, I'll read the question for better. So this question is in the presentation on the code of wages, you mentioned that all allowance should not exceed 50% of basic pay. In one example, you explained that if the allowance exceeds 50%, then the excess amount will be added to the basic pay. So my question is that case which component or allowance will be counted towards basic pay? Okay. So Anita, thank you for asking these questions. I'll put my screen just to explain you one more time. So how this is gonna work.
You can share the screen. You are still the host. If there is, you want to share the screen again or presentation again.
Just sharing, just sharing.
Okay.
Is my screen visible? Can you confirm?
Yes, it is visible now.
So Nitya, actually, if I'll talk about the specific definition of wages, right? This code does not talk about your basic should be 50%. Nowhere, right? Because this is the first misunderstanding which or misinterpretation as of now, which spreaded across HR, which I heard from many people. So it is only talk about there is certain component which is exclusion, right? Which will not consist, which will not form the wages, which will be specifically excluded for the computation of wages. That is, for example, conveyance allowance, traveling concession, HRA, overtime allowance. But also it said that so this exclusion cannot be more than 50% of total wages. Total wages means gross wages, right? So it cannot be more than 50% of total gross wages. If any percentage increase more than 50%, for example, if increase by 5 rupees, right? So that 5 rupees form a wages and it will be considered as a definition of wages. And that 5 rupees attract PF deduction also. It will also consider for the bonus calculation. It will also consider for the calculation of gratuity or any other thing which is linked to wages calculations, right? So it does not talk about the your basic should be 50%. I try to explain the ideal state, but can be considered because you have to restrict your exclusion up to 50%. If your exclusion go beyond 50%, so that by default excess of 50% will form the wages and will attract the various statutory deductions. I hope Nitya I answered your query.
Yes, sir. Yes, I got it.
Got it now? So generally, if I'll see, I'll talk in various forms where I had your basic should be 50%. So there is a genesis why this thought has become, right? No, somebody has asked, is there is any wage limit for interstate workmen? No, no, not as of now. So it's only defined the who will be the interstate workmen. This limit can be defined later on by the appropriate government.
Mr. Amit, or you can explain on the model of contract labor management.
So contract labor arrangement, it is there's 2-3 change which has been made. One is it defined now this clearly defined what is the core activity, right? So earlier, if you see the most of the industry how they practice, they make a contract of loading, unloading, and deploy people on the assembly line, right? So which assembly line now, as per the new definition, is a core activity, which is
Okay.
essential to run the business, right?
Right.
So you cannot deploy a contractor under core activity. You can deploy on intermittent nature of jobs, or which is not correct, like security, housekeeping, horticulture, canteen, right?
Okay.
Loading or unloading activity. It is clearly defined. Secondly, secondly, within the ambit of law, now subcontractor is also a contractor,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
So that means you have to issue Form 5 to them also.
Okay. To the subcontractor, you mean to say?
Yes. You have to issue the Form 5 them also, so that they also have a license, right? And their name should be reflected in your RC, factory RC, or the establishment RC.
Right.
So suppose if some untoward incident happen and some complaint come, so that as a principal employer, you can always say that he is not my employee, right?
Okay.
So that is change management which has been done now, which is reduced. Secondly, it also provide that contractor also can be a principal employer.
Acha, how?
Right? For their subcontracting people.
Okay, understood.
Right?
Thank
I
you.
hope I answered your query.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. So there's a question from Krushan. Do we calculate PF on basic, on gross monthly paid under new code? So Krishanand, we do not. This code does not say calculate on basic. It only says calculate on wages, right? And what is the wages? It is clearly defined that apart from certain allowances, which is exclusion, everything whatever remain is a wages. Name can be anything. You can call it basic, you can call it retaining bonus, retaining allowance, you can call it a DA. So everything will be formed as a wages. And if your exclusion is more than 50%, the over and above 50% amount will be formed the wages. Right? So Krishanand, I hope I answer your query.
Yeah, got it. Thank you.
Somebody asked the doctor pay considered as a salary or professional charges. Many hospitals exempted them. So, a friend, actually, this code does not talks about certain thing which I already tell limitations. Professional fees and income tax act. There's a definition of salary is different, right? So, already explained that in the slide. A certain area which need to clarify, which will come with the time of limit the interpretation. Here I shared somewhere, yes, outstanding issues, right? You can refer it here. Certain issues it require more clarity, which is still the matter of interpretation, and we're expecting this because a lot of representation has gone to center against this wage code division, which been code division notified by the center governments. So we're expecting certain more clarity. For example, in gratuity also, we are not sure it should be retrospective or it will be from the applicable only for the period of from the day it will be notified by the government. Any more questions? Any participant has?
Sir?
Yeah, Nicholas.
Yes, sir. Sir, you are told the salary can be done through the online transfer or check. If something can be done through the cash, so any ceiling, yeah.
This need to be defined by appropriate government.
So that is anything they decide already or not?
Not decide, because this is the state. I already starting of the presentation. I told you that there is total 6 states, which is as per the Vivigiri Institute of Labor Law latest, which is yet to republish their state rule on this code, right? So some of the state has been defined, and some of state it yet to be defined. Right? Like West Bengal, Nagaland yet to be republish their state rules. It is because of some political tension or the overburden of some other priorities of the state. It is there.
Fine. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Nikhilji. Wage code 4 in Gujarat. You are very ambitious. But the thing is that the once it will apply, it will apply the whole India, and it will be gazetted by the central government. Yes, one thing is there. You can notify like small amendment that start coming into existing laws through notification. Like this code talks about the applicability of Contract Labor Act is 50 people, which was earlier 20. So in Haryana, it's already been this limit has been revised under existing Contract Labor Act 50, right? So that's how this has been taken care. Nikhil, I will suggest you first read the Bear Code. Try to read the existing Bear Code, and as an HR professional, we are not supposed to go in every NHS section. Our job is to understand the essence and what the Act want, and what is a basic checklist of compliance, and we have to go above the compliance.
Amitji, would you mind sharing your contact number as we want to connect you separately?
Vilasji, you can contact me on LinkedIn. I'll share with you.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
We have already shared our LinkedIn. Amit is there, so you can connect right away. However, the people, you just continue. There is another power packing session for the next 2.5 hours, and that is the mind blowing and other thing. Definitely, there are the things you may have not seen and not even though know about that we are going to take up here into the next session. So keep a touch with this, the continue with this session. So we will start that by 3:30. So before that, whatever the questions you have, you can ask them, and Mr. Amit is here clarifying everything. And then we are moving straightly into the another workshop that is continuous into this session or this link only. So please be here. If you have, if you have some breaks also, you can take, and by the 3:30 come back.
So Monali has asked Monali has asked one question that one code is expected to come. So we are very hopeful that this year will come. But if you see recent development, there's a central trade unions. They declared nationwide strike, nationwide protest in the month of May. I hope you are following the news, right? Which is against these codes, right? So we cannot say that it will come this year or next year or maybe which month, but this will decide by the central governments when they are going to notify it.
Sir Jagdish here.
Yeah, Jagdish.
Sir, any mention in this code, sir, about grievance redressal? Like in case if we see any kind of a fraud or allegations on the contract employees, like can we do any investigation on that, and can we suggest any disciplinary actions to the principal employer of the contractor?
So ideally, Jagdish, if any contractor employee does a fraud, as a principal employer, we should not investigate first thing, right? We should ask our contractor. We should instruct them to conduct inquiry. Of course, we can support them in terms of resources and everything. If they're not resourceful, we can transfer knowledge also if required. But that inquiry has to be done by the contractor itself, and they can submit a comprehensive report. In terms of grievance mechanism, there is a grievance committee, which was earlier also, which was under ID Act, where the limit was 6-member maximum. Now the number has increased 10 people, right, as a grievance committee. And if you have women workmen, you would ensure proportionate representation of women also in that committee. That is a change point in terms of grievance mechanism.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Any other question, please? There were also some questions into the chat. So if not picked, I think you have been picked some question from the chat, Mr. Amit. Yeah, Mr. Suresh Krish, please go
Hi.
with your question.
Good afternoon, Amit. I have a couple of questions. One is we create UAN once for an employee, and then whenever the employee changes, we integrate that particular UAN to the employee, right?
Okay.
Recently, we came across a case where the employee went abroad for 5-6 years and then coming back, the UAN is inactive, but the PF office itself says you create one more UAN, but our organization says still it is illegal and to hold on. So, what is the advice on that?
So, Suresh, this is you're seeking a legal advice. So, ideally, I'm not the right person to do that, but as an HR practitioner, I can suggest you certain things, right? The one thing is UN itself is a unique account number, right?
Okay.
Which can be issued one to one person, right? So,
Okay.
once it's issued, it should to having two UN for one person itself is the illegal, right?
Right.
So you have to pursue the authorities and you have to brief the entire scenario, right?
Okay.
So that they understand the case, and of course they will listen to you, right?
Okay.
Because employer is not at default.
Right.
It is the employee who is at default.
Okay.
But I would suggest you make proper documentation while correspondence, discuss in detail, right? Or you can consult your PF consultant who can advise you in right way. Suresh, thank you.
And now one more added question, since you talked about a lot of insights on labor, welfare, and contracting. For the drivers of our transportation, employee transportation, as per the statutory, any restroom or access into the premises, is it by default given, or generally how is it done across organizations?
So if you talk about canteen provision, right?
The drivers access to canteen, correct.
Yeah, it will clearly say that 100 people and more, including contractors.
Okay.
Right. So we should give access to them. Secondly, you should look into your contract. What kind of contract you assign with the transporter?
Okay.
Right. What is your responsibility? What is the transporter responsibility? You have to look into it.
Okay.
Right. And of course, entry to premises, entry to property, always reserved with the occupier.
Organization. Okay.
Yes.
Fine. Thank you, Michi.
Thank you.
Okay, is there any another question by any member, any participant?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Beer. If still some member has some queries, question, they can write to me on LinkedIn. I'm available. I'll try to respond them, right? And it was great sharing and a great platform and talking to HR professionals, and of course with the people matters.
It is manager, not people matters.
People managers. Sorry, So people managers, and I will share this content with your team, so that you can circulate it to them, right? And I will happy to connect in future also. So I would like to extend thanks to my colleague, my friend Archana and Sukhpal, who actually curated this presentation to help me to deliver this session. Thank you.
So thank you so much, everyone, and especially to Mr. Amit delivering this interactive session. The practitioner or practical experience he has been grasped so far throughout the case.